Okay, welcome back to Act 2. This is part 2, the second video, where we're going to be looking at the beginning of Act 2, and you're looking for Mrs Birling, Gerald and Eva Smith. Okay, make sure you have read this scene or listened to it before you watch this video, as I'm not going to be reading it. I'm just going through some of the key quotes. So the first thing that I want to talk about here is Gerald's reference and how he talks about Sheila, his fiancée. She's had a long, exciting and tiring day. It's quite patronising and reflects the patriarchal society of the time where women were treated as inferior. He talks about her there as almost as if she's a child. Oh, she's had an exciting, tiring day. She needs to go to bed. And there's two purposes for that. One, like I said, the patriarchal society. But the second one as well, he wants Sheila out of the room because he's about to admit what he's done with Eva Smith. I've indicated as well in bold there Sheila's reference to getting hysterical now. Now, that word hysterical is also quite a patriarchal term and referencing specifically to women being mad. If you look up the word hysterical or hysteria, that word originates for the meaning for the womb, and the idea being that if you had a womb, then you were crazy or ridiculous or overly emotional. So it was seen as when women were emotional that it was a sign of madness or craziness or women being women. So it's quite a misogynistic or patriarchal use of that term, really. The second thing to note here is the inspector talks about Gerald's perspective. So it's in blue because this is about Gerald's perspective. So the inspector says, you think young women ought to be protected against unpleasant and disturbing things, which was the view at the time. Gerald agrees. So he thinks, yes, women, and he's talking about middle and upper class women should be protected as if they're too delicate for anything that might happen. Unfortunately, he's not talking about working class women here, and that's the point that the inspector is making in this bit, that he doesn't protect Eva Smith. The working class women aren't protected from the middle and upper class men. The pink here is for the inspector, and I'm just representing a couple of things here. First of all, the fact that the stage directions talk about the inspector taking charge. He's the voice, he's the one we believe, and as the audience we trust, and he's the one that's in power and control here, which is quite opposite to what the Birling family are used to, where the middle and upper class really did believe they had power and control. Not in this case. And the inspector also is representing part of Priestley's message here when he says, we'll have to share our guilt. And that is the inspector and Priestley's view that we should look after each other. We should take responsibility when we do things wrong. We should as a community, look after, protect, be responsible. And that's what the inspector's saying there. If there's nothing else that we do, we have to share our guilt and our responsibility. So, Priestley really is using the inspector as a mouthpiece there for his views and his message. The purple, represents Eva Smith. Again, there's that representation of her being pretty, which again I've talked about before, but that is that a reference to the fact we've got a male writer here. If she wasn't pretty, then she wouldn't have attracted the attention of middle class men. Is it because she's pretty that she gets this attention? Does it matter what working class girls look like? Shouldn't everyone be treated respectfully? There is a reference to her being lively there, talkative, not demure and quiet, how women are meant to be. And she's represented as a victim in that line, who never did anybody any harm, and that's important. Eva Smith is represented as the victim. She's done absolutely nothing wrong and doesn't deserve what the Birling family did to her, and that's emphasised in the emotive language here. She died in misery and agony, hating life, almost a triple there. How horrendous it has been for her. We're meant to feel sympathy for her there.